Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're doing something wild. We are embarking on a massive, mind-bending cosmological zoom-out. We're going to examine the very boundaries of our universe, both in space and in time, and really explore where hard scientific evidence ends and pure wonder begins. So get ready to challenge some of the most fundamental numbers you've ever been taught as we look at the true reality of the cosmos. Let's dive in.
Okay, so let's start with a really natural, honestly kind of stubborn doubt. We hear it all the time, right? The universe is about 13.8 billion years old. But why? Why do we just accept that number? Why not 100 billion? Why not a trillion? It's incredibly easy to suspect that what we confidently call knowledge here is really just a local prejudice, or maybe just a really good guess. So, how do we actually know where the cosmic clock started?
Well, the short answer is, we actually don't assume it, we calculate it. Think about the universe's expansion kind of like watching a movie in reverse. In the normal forward version, galaxies are flying apart from one another. But if you wind the tape, you can literally and mathematically track those galaxies as they converge right back to their starting point. It's kind of like watching cars reverse off a massive highway system and all end up perfectly back in the exact same garage. When we run that math, we hit the beginning of the movie at roughly 13.8 billion years ago.
Now, a super skeptical mind might say, hold on, that's just math based on one observation. What if the expansion rate changed? Well, the age of the universe isn't just guesswork. It's validated by three entirely independent clocks. First, you've got the cosmic microwave background, or CMB, which is the residual radiation left over from the early universe. Second, we have our observation of the very oldest stars and globular clusters. And third, Hubble's constant, the actual real-time measurement of the expansion rate. Three completely different clocks, all giving us the exact same answer, roughly 13.8 billion years.
It's absolutely crucial to grasp this philosophical distinction. An assumption, that's a starting point we don't test, but a conclusion, that's where we end up after rigorous testing. In mainstream physics, 13.8 billion years is for sure not a starting belief. It's the concrete conclusion of the Standard Model. But, and this is a big but, taking that conclusion seriously leads to an absolutely massive visual paradox.
Which brings us to Section 1, Limits of the Cosmic Horizon.
All right, so we've got our solid, mathematically verified age. The universe is 13.8 billion years old. Lock that timeline in your head, because it acts as this unyielding parameter for absolutely everything we're about to explore next. But here is the jarring contradiction. The width of the observable universe is roughly 93 billion light-years across. Wait a second, right? If the universe is only 13.8 billion years old, how on earth can it possibly be 93 billion light-years wide? The answer actually lies in the fabric of space itself expanding. See, while light was busy traveling toward us for the last 13.8 billion years, space was stretching. It was actively pushing the original regions that emitted that light vastly farther away. And this brings us to one of the most profound truths you can take away from this explainer. A telescope is literally a time machine. Because of the finite speed of light, observing deep space is physically observing the deep past. You are never, ever seeing the distant universe as it is right now. You are only seeing it as it was.
Which means time is acting like a physical wall. Let's say you wanted to build a super powerful telescope that could see 500 billion light-years away. You literally can't. Not because of a lack of engineering or technology, but because when you look 500 billion light-years away, you are asking to see light that left its source 500 billion years ago. And our universe just didn't exist back then. The light hasn't had time to reach us. The limit to our vision is time, not distance. But what lies beyond that wall of time? Well, let's step out of our observable patch to find out.
Moving on to Section 2, the vast inflationary abyss. To explain why the early universe is so uniformly smooth, cosmologists rely on cosmic inflation, which was this rapid exponential expansion in the universe's earliest fractions of a second. And look at this number, 10 to the 26th power. That is just the absolute minimum expansion factor required just to explain the uniformity of the cosmic microwave background we see today. It's an almost incomprehensible stretching of reality, and it happens in literally a fraction of a blink.
But natural models of inflation suggest the universe is vastly, unimaginably larger than that minimum. It could have expanded by factors of 10 to the 100th power, or even more. The universe could essentially be infinite. So there very likely are galaxies 500 billion light-years away right now. We just can't see them because their light left long before our universe existed. You're basically asking for light that doesn't exist yet, unless, of course, the broader cosmos is much older than 13.8 billion years, which is the single fascinating loophole.
So is the model perfect? Let's look at Section 3, cracks in the model.
See, our entire 13.8 billion year clock relies on the assumption that the cosmic microwave background is perfectly smooth and homogeneous on large scales. But if you look closely, there are these tiny yet very real anomalies popping up at the 3 sigma level in the data. Things scientists dramatically call the cold spot, or the axis of evil, or hemispheric asymmetry. They're small deviations, sure, but they are real. They might just be statistical flukes, but they could also be the very first genuine cracks in the standard model,
Because if they are cracks, well, they challenge the cosmological principle outright. This is the foundational assumption that, on incredibly large scales, the universe is just totally uniform. Now, we have to admit, it's a wonderfully supported assumption, but it is an assumption nonetheless. If the universe is actually clumpy or patchy on a scale way larger than we can see, then our 13.8 billion year calculation might simply be a local phenomenon. We might literally just be living in a local bubble.
This leads us to a really mind-bending idea in Section 4, the water droplet multiverse.
To wrap our heads around the theory of eternal inflation, try visualizing it using this simple 3-step framework. Step 1. The leaf. Think of this as a vast, eternally inflating background space. Step 2. The droplet. During eternal inflation, different regions actually stop inflating at different times, forming these bubbles, or droplets of water sitting on this leaf. Our entire observable universe is just one of these droplets. Step 3. The microbe. That's us. We are microscopic organisms trapped inside a single droplet of water, looking around assuming our little droplet is the entire world. In this scenario, there are countless other droplets on the leaf, with their own physical laws and perhaps vastly older ages.
So if there are other older bubbles out there on that cosmic leaf, could we eventually build that 500 billion light-year telescope to finally see them? Tragically, no. The space between the droplets, the surface of the leaf itself, is still inflating. It's expanding faster than the speed of light, and this creates a one-way door. Light from another older bubble universe can never ever cross that inflating space to reach our droplet. Even if the broader cosmos is totally filled with other bubbles, we are physically trapped behind an uncrossable wall.
So where does that leave us? Let's wrap up with Section 5, the edge of science.
Let's quickly review the hard reality of where we stand right now. The statement, "The universe is 13.8 billion years old," that is a firm conclusion drawn from 3 independent clocks. We cannot see beyond travel time. That is a strict physical law governing our reality. Now, the idea that other bubble universes exist remains entirely speculative. It's predicted by brilliant models, but it's ultimately untestable. And finally, the CMB is perfectly homogeneous. We know for a fact that is mathematically false due to those slight anomalies, leaving the door just slightly cracked open for entirely new discoveries.
You know, our inability to build a telescope that just peers endlessly into the past, it isn't a failure of our technology. It's not a failure of science at all. It is simply the horizon of time itself. We've mathematically mapped the limits of our droplet. But as we sit at the edge of that uncrossable wall, looking out into the unseeable inflationary abyss, I want to leave you with this final thought to ponder. If we can never cross the cosmic horizon, where does evidence end and wonder begin? Thank you so much for exploring this fascinating topic with me. Keep wondering, keep questioning, and I'll see you in the next explainer.